जय हिंद मैम।
Hello, good evening, everyone. Jai Hind.
Good
Good
evening
evening,
मैम।
ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
जय हिंद रश्मि मैम।
Good evening,
नमस्ते।
ma'am. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.
How are you all?
Namaste, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Brinda ma'am.
Ma'am, we are
Good
doing
evening
good. How
मैम।
are you doing?
Even I'm good. Thank you so much, Prita ma'am.
नमस्ते मैम।
Namaste, namaste. It's good that you have joined before time today. I'm so happy to see that.
Happy to see you, ma'am, after a long time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nisha ma'am. How is it going on at Zavadi, Nagpur, Varanasi? Nasik, so I keep on visiting.
We just came back, ma'am.
Okay, okay. You're having some event, right, Ratna ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Fenestra. It's going good.
Great, great.
And for Hinjawadi, ma'am, the students as well as teachers. Now we are settling down.
Yeah, that's nice. But I guess this time, first time, our Hinjawadi team will be presenting today. So I'm really excited to see that. Good evening, Jayashri ma'am, Malvika ma'am, Nandini ma'am, Nazia ma'am, Vinaz ma'am, Roopsi ma'am, Sangeeta
Good
ma'am.
evening, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening. Smita ma'am, good evening.
Good evening, Ashwini ma'am.
गुड इवनिंग अश्विनी मैम।
Good
मैं
evening.
आते ही सबसे पहले आपको गुड इवनिंग की, आप सुनी नहीं मेरी बात।
Oh, so sorry, Smita मैम, फोन आ गया था ना,
ओके मैम,
तो इसलिए
ये
मैं
बस
सुना, लेकिन फोन बंद, फोन आ गया इसलिए म्यूट पे थी।
Jai Hind, ma'am. Jai Hind,
जय
Ash.
हिंद सीमा मैम।
How are you?
I'm good मैम, thank you.
Good
Good.
evening, Ashwini, ma'am.
Good evening Manisha मैम।
Good evening,
We'll
Ashwini,
wait
ma'am.
for 2 more minutes. Good evening Deepti ma'am. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. जय हिंद सुपर्णा मैम, सोनल मैम, पारुल मैम।
Jai Hind, ma'am. Jai Hind.
जय हिंद अभिलाषा मैम, कैसे हैं? नमस्ते श्वेता मैम। I would request everyone to kindly grab a paper and a pen with you for today's session. You can quickly take it with you. Sorry, pens and colors. You need pens and colors with you. If you have, kindly grab it quickly with you. I guess note takers are more than the participants. जय हिंद कल्पना मैम।
Jai Hind, ma'am.
Jai Hind, ma'am.
Jai Hind, everyone. Jai Hind, everyone. I guess we should start today's session. It's already 5:03, and it's already a wonderful session for all of us. A warm welcome to all of you joining us today for CC Friday episode 94. We are delighted to have you here with us for another exciting and insightful session. Today's focus is on skill that we all rely on but sometimes overlook, note taking. So before we begin, let me introduce our wonderful panel of educators who will be leading today's session. Kritika Mehta, Pallavi Raju, Sucheta Roy, Bushra Sheikh, Lopa Mudra, Malvika Singh, Prita Mukherjee, Pinash Chennai. Each one of them brings a wealth of experience and unique insights on mastering this essential skill, and we are so excited to learn from them. If you have any questions during this session, feel free to drop them in the chat box and we'll make sure to address them. Once again, welcome, and let's make the most of this learning opportunity.
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
My name is Kritika Mathur. There's a glitch over there. It's Kritika Mathur.
Okay. So sorry, Kritika ma'am. It's Kritika Mathur.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, I'll be reading out for you all the ground rules for today's session. Please be attentive throughout the session. Please keep your cameras on throughout the session whenever it is possible. Okay. Credits will be given on the basis of the feedback form, which I'll be sharing at the end of the session. Okay. And yes, you can ask the questions through Q&A. It will be answered. And yes, this is not a compulsory session. If you have any emergency wherein you cannot join, you can drop a mail to me, keeping your principal and learning leader in CC. Thank you so much. Over to you, to our first speaker, DPS Hinjawadi.
Namaste, everyone. Am I audible, Ashwini, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you, Ashwini, ma'am. Namaste to one and all present here. I am Pallavi Raju from DPS Hinjawadi. Today, I, along with Ms. Kritika Mathur, would be sharing some information with you all. So before I begin, I would like to share my screen. Just give me a moment. I would be sharing the screen very soon. Ma'am, I have shared my screen. Is it visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So to begin with our session, I would like to narrate a short story. And like Ashwini ma'am already informed us, you all have to be ready with your notebooks. It can be a piece of paper, some writing materials, colors. And while I'm narrating the story, I would request you all to record the information. It can be in the form of some sentences, or it can be in the form of bullet points, or also if you would like to represent your recorded information in a pictorial way, or it can be a mind map, it can be a flow chart. Anything that is convenient to you or easy for you, you may go ahead with it. I'll wait for a few seconds and I'll begin with my story. So the story is of two trees. In a forest, two trees, Ravi and Kumar, stood side by side. Ravi was proud of his strength and height, while Kumar was humble and focused on his roots. One day, a strong storm hit the forest. Ravi, confident in his strength, refused to bend. So due to this, he broke under the force of the wind. While Kumar, however, flexed and adapted, his strong roots holding him firm. As the storm passed, Ravi lay broken, while Kumar stood there standing. After some time, a wise old tree approached Kumar and said, "Your humility and strong roots helped you today and saved you. Remember, flexibility and adaptability are greater strengths than the rigid pride." This story aims to teach us some points like adaptability, flexibility, humility, modesty, and also learning from mistakes and experiences. I would stop sharing my screen and I would like to request all of you to share your way of representation that you just followed while I was narrating. If you could just switch on your cameras and show the pictures or the way you have represented your recorded information towards the camera, and we can all go through it. Kritika ma'am, I would like to request you if you're able to see the pictures, because I'm unable to view the pictures right now, the ones which are shown by our participants. If you could just go through them and give a overview how it looks like, how they have represented.
I think many of the cameras are still off, so even I am not able to view anything right now.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Kritika ma'am.
So we have Nisha sharing her picture. We have Pallavi also sharing, and I also shared. And then we have Parul also sharing,
Yes.
Chandni Jain sharing. So many of the participants have created. Rupali ma'am is sharing. So many of them are sharing this. Their pictures. I think most of them have done pictorial and then word map.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aarti ma'am. I could see Chandni ma'am. I could see a mind map, a flow chart kind of representation. Is it Chandni ma'am? Yes. Thank you, Chandni ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. So I'll quickly share my screen once again. But before that, I wanted to tell you all this activity that we did just now. The purpose of this activity was to record the information in various ways in which you are comfortable, and this would surely help you to recall someday when you would maybe narrate the same story, or you would want to recall the concept. You will quickly go back and you will check how you represented this information. Now, the source that you all referred to was storytelling. Now, I was narrating a short story and you were recording your information in points, in flowchart way, or a mind map. So I'll quickly share my screen once again. Kritika ma'am, I hope it's visible.
Ma'am, it is.
Thank you so much. So yes, we are discussing about the topic note taking. And note taking is a practice. I would say it's a regular practice of recording information from various sources. So the source that you all just now witnessed is storytelling, where you were listening, where you all were active listeners and you all recorded the information. And we also have other sources from which note taking can also be done. Lectures followed by
Pallavi ma'am, just I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Actually, the presentation is not in a slideshow mode, and also you have to change the slide.
Oh, is it, ma'am? Okay, I'll quickly stop sharing. I'll share again. So Ranjana ma'am, is it visible now?
Yes, but not in the slideshow mode
Yes,
as of now. Yeah.
Yes. Now?
Not yet.
Okay.
I can see that your slideshow button is pressed.
F5.
Yes,
Please
Meta
press
ma'am.
F5. F5 function button.
Yes,
Yes,
F5 ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Now? I have done it, ma'am.
Not yet, Pallavi.
We can't see.
Ma'am, on the top you have option slideshow. Just click on that. It will be.
Yes, ma'am. I just clicked on slideshow.
Maybe internet is lacking. Your camera is also on and you are presenting. No, it's okay, ma'am. We can view it.
Okay. So I'll continue, ma'am.
Yes, Pallavi.
Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So I was telling you all that note taking is a regular practice which can be done with the help of different sources. So one of the ways is lectures, and the other is meetings, followed by readings, and then we also have some observations which help us in note taking. And it involves active listening, reading, or observing, and then writing down key points, concepts, or ideas. Effective note taking can enhance learning and recall. Why is note taking important? With this brief discussion, I want to ask you all, I would like to take few responses. Why is note taking important? What could be the purpose of note taking is the question. You may unmute and answer.
May I? Ma'am, may I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, it's basically to understand the information which is shared.
Yes, absolutely right, Nisha ma'am. Are there any other answers? Yes, Vrunda ma'am.
And also to retain information.
Yes, you're right, Nisha ma'am. Thank you. Vrunda ma'am, please go ahead.
Yes. So when I listen to anything or when I read about, basically when I receive any information, what the author or what the speaker wants to say may not reach, everything may not reach out to me. So when I make notes, I'm writing my understanding about it, about the topic. So
Right.
I feel that that is a deeper learning because I am writing down what I have understood, not what I have heard or what I have seen. So that is what I.
Vrunda ma'am. Yes. Thank you for sharing, Vrunda ma'am. Vaibhav Rani ma'am. Yes, Diksha ma'am, please go ahead.
Ma'am, to understand the whole idea in a gist, or maybe to note down the key points to which I can refer later on.
Absolutely. So the responses that we received all are correct. In general, we are recording this information for our future reference. And this helps us to retain the concept for a longer time. I'll quickly share the screen once again. Kritika ma'am, I hope it's visible. If you could let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
So the purpose of note taking, a few of you already shared it, and I can see some of you have shared the answers in the chat box as well. Purpose of note taking, it aids in comprehension, helps us in creating a record, it helps us in organizing information in a better manner, also supports learning and memory, facilitates review and revision, aids in analysis and application, enhances focus, and encourages active participation. Now, I'll stop sharing the screen and I would request Kritika ma'am to continue further.
Thank you, Pallavi ma'am. Just a moment. Okay, before I share a screen, I just want to take some responses on what do you think would be the factors that would be a barrier in note taking?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Vrinda ma'am.
No, Nisha ma'am. Okay, language could be one barrier. Not paying attention could be one barrier.
Okay, language. Yes, ma'am. Prajakta ma'am. Prajakta Kulkarni ma'am.
Yeah, the speed of the lecture taker, maybe that could be a problem. Yeah.
Right, of course. Speed and efficiency. Yes, Shreyasi ma'am.
It can be that the listening skills are not at par.
Okay. Definitely. Yes, Nalini ma'am.
It could be that we are just not habitual of taking notes. The habit is not developed.
Okay. Yes, it is. Uh, okay, I'm going to share the screen now. Please let me know if it is visible. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now, as we discussed the factors that were affecting the note taking, as someone said, yes, listening and reading skills, if the listener and the reader if is not efficient enough, it will be a great barrier. The note taking method is one of the things which we had done right now, as Pallavi ma'am was doing it. Everybody had a different method. Of course, everyone had a different method of taking notes, either in a picture form, in a drawing, or any other thing. So that if that note taking method, if anyone is not fluent with, it can be a great factor which affects note taking. Prior knowledge, when before starting a class, we always ask children, we always reconnect, we recall the prior knowledge of the children. So of course, while note taking, it is also essential. Speed and efficiency was also mentioned by some teacher over here. Yes, of course, the speed and efficiency is a great barrier. The technology, the lack of technological information about the to the teachers as well as the students can be a barrier. Distractions, then organizational skills and review and revision. These are the basic factors which can affect the note taking process. Okay. Just give me a moment. Okay, there is something. I'll just reshare it. Just give me a moment. Okay. Yeah. So now we will discuss the tips for note taking for early childhood. Our main focus is for the age groups of grade 8, 3 to 7. So can you see the images over? This has been done and conducted in our school, the basic drawing and scribbling. At the early age, at this stage, the children might use pictures or drawings or colors to scribble, to present the ideas rather than using the written words. I am not able to just move the slide. Now we can see the interactive activities. During this session, we conducted note-taking charades for children. I hope the screen is visible for everyone. Interactive activities. Okay. Thank you for the thumbs up. Students act out key terms. Now what we did was a child came out, and the topic we had was our body. So what the child did, just acted some things. For example, seeing. So what happens is when the child enacted without using a word and the other children noted down, it was kind of acting, but without the words, they understood, they grasped what the child was speaking, and they took the note according to their method. For example, somebody wrote eyes, somebody wrote the written word spelling, somebody just drew it. So everybody had their own way of taking the notes in that way. Now strategies for note taking. What do you think the strategies might be for note taking? Different ways, as everybody during the start of the story what Pallavi ma'am conducted, everybody had a different idea of the strategies to note taking notes of. For example, somebody made a flowchart, mind map. Everybody had a different way. So what are the strategies which we use generally? Is first we are going to learn about the color coding thing. Here we have a thing. Color coding is basically a powerful technique, which really enhances our organizational skills, and it will help in absorbing the information very precisely. As we can say here, down the children, there is a match the column kind of thing, and their playground, it's colored in purple, and the answer of it where the students play is also colored in purple. Same classroom where we study, library where the books are kept. So now what happens is when the child is learning, he or she can directly just color code it. Playground, okay, playground is purple, let me look for the purple thing. Okay, the answer might be in the purple. So that will really save time, and it will build interest in children as well. Second we come through is mind mapping. Now mind mapping, we had a topic, my school, and our children, we discussed about the different rooms we have in our school. For example, library, office, staff room, canteen, playground, and many other, of course, rooms. So mind maps, what helps us, it can just helps us in visualizing its information, organizing. Instead of writing into the whole sentences, it just makes a diagram kind of thing. You can also color it, that if every child has an creative way of doing it. They can just break down the complex topics into the simpler and the visual elements, which is easy to understand and remember it. Next we come is to the flowchart. Now here, flowcharts is really it is not exactly like mind mapping, but it is a better way. It's a more comprehensive way of it, where flowchart is actually kind of usually used in stories. For example, if we have children are learning for the example, you can say Cinderella story. So the flowchart, what happens, the sequencing of the story is really helpful in flowchart system. So I'm just going to be very short in this. Flowcharts, it's a visual representation. It makes easier for the complex things to be very creative, and children will definitely love it. Then comes the pictorial representation. The pictorial representation is this activity we conducted in the classroom, where the children, instead of writing the spellings all the time in this way, or the sentences, what are these functions is, we just had to make them. They also made a flip book out of it, where the sense organs, the eyes, ears, and the function is also given, where we can color it. So everybody had the creative ideas in this. It is a note taking which, visual elements like diagrams, sketches, symbols, anything. It is completely on the child what method they want to use to represent it. Then comes the peer support. This is really very essential, and I think it is children enjoy this a lot, where we make the partners sit together and then they will discuss about it. Here we conducted an activity where they have their paper. They all the children came over, then they just drew the hands, and then they helped each other to find out the textures. What are the different textures in our around us, and then the textures, rough, smooth, and also they help with the spellings as well to them. So peer support is really, I think, a very common thing which should be always be a part of note taking, where the children, where the partner can help the other student as well. Okay, so yes, that's all what I had for now. The conclusion is you can learn different ways and also teach different ways of taking notes. You can, as a teacher also, while we are teaching, there are things which we can also learn. So tool, and it is, I think we can apply it all to all the age groups. It is not just limited to children. The teachers can also have a different method of note taking during the meetings or conferences. So it is really a part not just for children but for all age groups. Taking notes will requires a specific activities. For example, you can say before that what you have to do is just read your assignments before going to the class, listen, then evaluate during the class. So it is an ongoing process, before, during, and after. Review and reflect, discuss the materials what you have done. So it will also create an evidence for us as well as the children, and it will really be helpful for them. That's all for now. I will just, and if you have any queries, please feel free to ask. If you had any doubts.
Excuse me, Shraddha ma'am, please mute yourself.
Okay. If anyone is speaking, I'm not able to actually hear you. So it will be really great if you unmute yourself or just raise a hand if you have any doubts, or if you want to share any ideas regarding the slides we showed just now.
Kritika and Pallavi, it was an amazing sharing from both of you. And questions we will take at the end, because looking at the time, I feel let's go ahead with we are to see from all three schools. So let's go forward. Thank you so much for your sharing.
Thank you.
Aarti ma'am, please allow me to share the screen.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, Rini ma'am, you have some question? Rini ma'am? All right, thank you so much, TPS and Himsabadi team. Now I would like to request Jigyasa team from TPS Varanasi.
Good evening, everyone. I guess Malvika is facing some kind of technical snag and she's not in the meeting anymore. So I will present the screen on her behalf.
Lopa ma'am, I have rejoined. I'm presenting.
Okay.
Just let me know if it is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Jai Hind everyone. Today Lopa Mudra ma'am and I, Malvika, are going to take you on the journey of note taking among the students here at DPS Varanasi. There is a famous African proverb, the note taker learns, the note reader remembers.
Good evening, everyone. And why only Africans? I guess we have also seen many startups which might surely have been started by making rough sketches on the table napkins of restaurants. And unless you have an eidetic memory or a photographic memory, you cannot remember everything. That's a fact. So with this, we have Pallavi ma'am and Krutika ma'am talked about the primary objectives of note taking. So a quick recap of what they did. Active participation. Yes, note taking encourages children to actively participate in the class discussions without being distracted. Note taking also helps the child to be more organized in what they are doing, prepare and organizing study material. And the most effective one, which we feel, is notes are an easy recall when they revise the lesson.
Here are the 5 R's as tips for note taking. Record, where the students are supposed to record all the informations. Reduce, where the child is supposed to stay focused for the keywords. Recite, where the child is writing the understanding in his or her own language, followed with reflect and review. Now in upcoming slides, we will see the parents and students are sharing their learnings and benefits, sharing the benefits of note taking.
My name is Anya
Taking
Gujrati.
notes is a wonderful habit which people are inculcating in kids these days. It is definitely going to help them in long run. It will make them more focused, organized in their thoughts and information, enhancing their understanding of any content or topic that is being taught in the class. And it will help them to retain information for a longer period of time, because when a student writes something, they are likely to remember those things for a longer period of time because they have actively written it. So in a way, you are boosting this study habit, which is a strong foundation for a future learning. So it's great going.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Yuvika Pandey of class 12th H. Balancing academics along with co-curriculars is a hectic task for every student. There were times when I used to reach home and I did not want to flip the pages of my books and go through every topic taught in the class. So I started making notes when I was in class 11th to reduce my act of procrastination and get an overview of things. From it, I observed that I have a better understanding and remembrance of topics in brief, and I can also elaborate it if needed. To also understand better and appropriately, I started making mind maps which helped me give a visual idea of things and also relate the topic to different contexts. This is how a mind map looks for me. Thank you.
Let us quickly take a reflection how note taking has benefited you. For this, I would like to pick out few lollilotos, and the first lolliloto calls out Dhriti. Where is Dhriti? Yes.
Note taking helps me so that I'm not distracted when the teacher teaches something to me. It also keeps me more focused on what we are learning in the class. it helps me to remember that what we learned in the class.
Okay, so it keeps you more focused. Ujjwal, you are raising your hand. You want to say something?
When I reached my home, at times when I revised the chapter, I did not read the entire portion. I read the notes. That's why notes help me to learn.
Okay, notes help you to revise. Anyone else who would like to share their reflection? Yes, Ribhya.
Mom, note taking helps me when I write the important points. So when I write my question answers, then I see the key points written in my notes and take help from them to write the answer.
Thank you.
Good morning and Jai Hind. I am Tisha Seth from class 8G, and in social science class we take notes for our better understanding. We take notes mainly from the explanation videos so that we can get a better understanding of every chapter. Thank you.
Now, this is a very interesting dialogue going on between two friends, where one is quite apprehensive about note taking and the other one is trying her best to show the good points and the positive points of note taking.
Do you really think that we need to take notes? Can't we just remember it by listening?
I used to think that too, but when we write it down, it sticks better. It's like giving our brain a second chance to catch information. Notes saved me last week when I missed a lot.
But isn't it true? What if the teacher is explaining something really fast? By the time I write it, I might miss my other parts too.
It can feel slow, but notes don't have to be perfect. You just have to jot down the key points and fill the details later when you review them. Plus, it helps you remember it better, and it's a secret cheat code for studying too.
So notes are like our secret weapons even for later.
Exactly. Notes are like a personal guidebook. When you look back, everything makes more sense, and you're ready for any quiz or exam.
All right, I am in. Let us make sure that we always have our pen handy.
So finally, the second friend made the first one, who was apprehensive, quite positive about notes and all. But what we would like to share over here is that something, now this is a rosy picture, but there is something behind the rosy picture, and that is the struggle that we faced in teaching and motivating students to inculcate this habit of note taking. Now, taking notes is a very difficult task. Taking excellent notes is not as easy as it seems, because you cannot merely scribble down whatever you see or hear. So the purpose of note taking is to record the important ideas or the points as in your own words. So we faced a few challenges. One of them was the concept of note taking, how to skim the important points. Especially we faced this challenge in Jigyasa, classes 3 to 5. Now over here, what happened? Students started writing as soon as the teacher started teaching. They took out their pens and started writing whatever the teacher said. Now this demanded a very patient handholding over here. So we solved the problem by telling them the steps. The first one, we asked them to listen. Listening was the first step that they inculcated, listening. Second one was sit back, which we call it pause time. So once the teacher has delivered that specific amount of lesson in that period, the child sits back and in that pause time, it could be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on the class. Now, while they sit back and are involved in that pause time, they are basically retrieving, they are recalling whatever they heard. And this also reminds me of a book by Benedict Carey. The book is named as Forget to Learn. Forget to Learn. So over here, the author says that when you write, when the teacher is saying something and you are constantly writing, it does not help you. So what helps is the teacher has taught you something and you pause, you forget to learn. And when you are forgetting to learn, you are basically retrieving the main points. And then finally, you write down. So listening, pause time, retrieve, and then writing points. And this has actually helped class 3. They spend time at times in a lot of time in pause time, but yes, this is being done very positively. The second struggle that we are facing, Malvika.
Yes, ma'am. The second challenge we faced was absenteeism. If the child is getting absent, they were in notion that they can leave the pages and copy the notes done by the other child. Even parents were asking, calling and asking, ki ma'am, can you please provide the notes done by other child in the school today? So we made them understand that note taking is a special personal space, or you can say personal understanding of a particular child, that he or she can write after going through that topic or chapter. So there is no need to copy down from other child. How we cater to this problem? We try to cover up the missed concept or the topics of those absent students next day or whenever they are rejoining in our free periods, so that they can frame the notes at the end of the chapter. They can use it as mind map also, so it will help them in these ways. Yes.
And we conclude this by this beautiful statement given by Virginia Woolf, that the written word, notes, is the anchor that helps you sail through the sea of information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lopa. Thank you so much, Malvika. It was amazing, and it was amazing to hear from children the way they were sharing. And thank you for sharing that struggle too, because that is something that everybody comes across. And when you make it so structured that how to go ahead with this, it helps all of us to take the right path. So thank you so much for sharing. And who's going to share next? Ashwini ma'am?
Team Lava Nagpur, ma'am. Chetna. Vilas, ma'am. Rita, ma'am.
Ma'am, should we start?
Yes, please. Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So today we will be diving into the art of note-taking done by the students of Chetna at DPS Lava and how it can transform your learning experience. Whether you are a student or a lifelong learner, mastering effective note-taking can be an absolute game changer. Let's get started on this journey to boost our productivity and achieve our goals. Please capture the key points and insights while watching the video. Note one challenge that stands out to you and retain your notes for a subsequent discussion. This will enable a rich and informed conversation once the presentation is over.
Wow, what an audience. But if I'm being honest, I don't care what you think of my talk. I don't. I care what the internet thinks of my talk. Because they're the ones who get it seen and get it shared. And I think that's where most people get it wrong. They're talking to you here instead of talking to you, random person. Wow, what an audience. But if I'm being honest, I don't care what you think of my talk. I don't. I care what the internet thinks of my talk. Because they're the ones who get it seen and get it shared. And I think that's where most people get it wrong. They're talking to you here instead of talking to you, random person scrolling Facebook. Thanks for the click. You see, back in 2009, we all had these weird little things called attention spans. Yeah, they're gone. They're gone. We killed them. They're dead. I'm trying to think of the last time I watched an 18-minute TED Talk. It's been years, literally years. So if you're giving a TED Talk, keep it quick. I'm doing mine in under a minute. I'm at 44 seconds right now. That means we got time for one final joke. Why?
Sabrina ma'am, can we move on to the next slide, please?
Note taking is not just about writing down information, it's also about transforming thoughts into lasting insights. In this presentation, we shall explore some creative strategies to enhance your note taking skills and make your learning experience more effective and enjoyable. Using keywords in your notes can significantly enhance your ability to recall information. Focus on the essence of what you learn by identifying and highlighting these critical terms, making your notes not just a record, but also a powerful tool for memory retention. There are 4 common note-taking methods. First, the mapping method or mind mapping. Here are some of the incredible work done by the students using this method. Draws a diagram, the main idea in the center, and related ideas branching. Visually organizes information, showing connections between the concepts. The second is the Cornell method. It divides the page into 3 sections: keywords, notes, and summary. It encourages active engagement and helps with review and immediate retention. The third is the outlining method, a hierarchical system where information is organized into main topics and subtopics. Great for structured information and visualizing relationships between ideas. The fourth is the charting method. Involves creating tables or charts to organize information, making it perfect for comparing and contrasting data like historical events or scientific concepts, and allowing for quick reference and easy visualization. The fifth type, that is the tabular form of note-taking. Here, the French students have created a table-based note-taking system to learn the vocabulary, listing the French words and their English translations. This organized approach helps them track their progress, reinforce understanding, making the language learning more effective and efficient. The impact of note-taking. Note-taking improves understanding, retention, and engagement. It prepares you for the exams and develops your critical thinking. It enhances organization, productivity, and time management too. It boosts academic performance and creativity. It supports learning and communication. Organized notes can reduce anxiety and mental clutter too. Thank you. Now I invite Pinaz Chinoy to take the presentation further.
Thank you, Pritha ma'am. Sabrina ma'am, can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. Understanding the importance of note-taking is the key to achieve academic success. There are various types of notes, including organization notes for planning, summarization notes for brief summaries, study notes for academic learning, and meeting notes for capturing discussions. The benefits of effective note-taking are substantial. It improves focus during learning, enhances memory and comprehension, and proves to be invaluable during exam preparation and review. Mastering this skill will not only help in organizing thoughts, but also in achieving better academic outcomes. Visual note-taking involves using diagrams, charts, and doodles to make notes more engaging and memorable. This technique helps students organize their thoughts clearly and enhances their understanding of the material. By incorporating visuals, learning becomes more interactive and fun, making it easier to recall information later on during the exam. Here are some examples of study and summarization notes by our students. Now that we are all ready to take our note-taking game to the next level, I'm sharing some tips to effectively use them in our day-to-day life. Number 1, be a pro by picking out some key points. Stay sharp, be an active listener. Don't forget to review your notes while you are working on it, and do not procrastinate proofreading for later. Sprinkle in some cool abbreviations and symbols to save time. Here is what our student Tejal Singh has to say about note-taking.
Hi, I'm Tejal, a student of DPS Lava Nagpur, and today I'm going to talk to you about note-taking. Note-taking has helped me in my academics by tenfold. One of its many benefits include hand and head coordination. When I write down points while the teacher is explaining, it helps me to remain focused and free from distractions. Oftentimes, teachers give new information which is not already present in our textbooks. So note-taking helps us preserve this new material. There are two main methods I use for my note-taking. The first one is in my textbooks. I use this method for languages, such as the languages I learn in school, which are Hindi and English. In my English note textbook, you can see that I have underlined keywords as well as written their meanings and the glossary my teacher has given me. The second method is in my notebook. I use this method for science and SST. Often, information for subjects like bio and chemistry tends to get lengthy, so I prefer
Pinaz ma'am, please continue.
Yes, ma'am. The reflection by Tejal was very insightful, wasn't it? Now let us again watch the video that we saw in the beginning of the presentation, and I request everyone to kindly take down notes.
Wow, what an audience. But if I'm being honest, I don't care what you think of my talk. I don't. I care what the internet thinks of my talk. Because they're the ones who get it seen and get it shared. And I think that's where most people get it wrong. They're talking to you here, instead of talking to you, random person scrolling Facebook. Thanks for the click. You see, back in 2009, we all had these weird little things called attention spans. Yeah, they're gone. They're gone. We killed them. They're dead. I'm trying to think of the last time I watched an 18-minute TED Talk. It's been years, literally years. So if you're giving a TED Talk, keep it quick. I'm doing mine in under a minute. I'm at 44 seconds right now. That means we got time for one final joke. Why are balloons so expensive? Inflation.
I request everyone to kindly reflect upon your experience. Please feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand to answer. My first question to you is, what differences do you notice in your note-taking style compared to how you took notes earlier at the start of the session? Please, please raise your hand to answer. Yes, Prajakta ma'am, can you please unmute?
Yes, ma'am. I saw various note-taking concepts in this session. It was a wonderful session. For me, a takeaway is the journaling, the chart making, and the various student reviews. They were really expressive, and the hand-head coordination which Tejal talked about was really commendable. Yeah.
Ma'am, when you took down notes at the beginning of the session and when you did at the end of the session, did you use some other method like charting or the kernel method or the mind mapping method? Yes, Nisha ma'am. Nisha ma'am. Are you there, Nisha ma'am? Okay, we will move on to the next question. Which note-taking method did you, we'll move to the third question, please. What were the challenges that you faced? Will anybody like to answer, please?
Pushpendra sir is raising his hand.
Hi, namaste. So I just had one issue that comprehension was the issue sometimes when I'm trying to rush and do the notes. So that's the part where I was lagging behind. But then I realized being a little mindful really helped me later on to jot down the right points at the right time. So that's the difference I have found out. Thank you.
Yes, sir, exactly. Sometimes the speaker is too fast for us, but then once we get habituated to the habit of note taking, we learn to note down the things that are important and we learn to let go of things that are not important. Yes, Rupali ma'am. Thank you, sir. Yes, Rupali ma'am.
Ma'am, accent was a challenge for me.
Yes, ma'am. Even in India, every kilometer that we travel, languages, diction, accent changes. So it's something that for us, we have to learn to match up and get accustomed to the language. And yes, many times it happens that language is a big barrier, especially accent. Yes, ma'am. I do agree. Any other inputs? Any other takeaways? Okay. Think about how children can incorporate these techniques into their study routines to maximize their learning and retention. We have so many inputs for a video of 1 minute. Imagine the wonders we can create in a class of 40 minutes. Let us all start making effective keynotes today. This will boost our comprehension, save time, reduce stress, and enhance our productivity. By unlocking our note-taking potential, we will be able to achieve our set goals on time. Remember to be intentional, use a system that works for you, review regularly, and practice active listening. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pinas. Thank you so much, Pritha. I think it was amazing to see the entire presentation, and the girl's reflection was completely depicting the entire experience of students that they are getting with note taking. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Let's move to Team Nashik.
Good evening, everyone. So Bushra ma'am and I will be sharing a few thoughts on what we are doing in the Samarpan wing of DPS Nasik. I request Bushra ma'am to please share her screen.
Ma'am, shared. Is it visible?
No, not yet. Okay. Yeah, it is.
Just
Right. So our key objectives today are, first we'll be starting off with a small activity. Then we'll look at a few needs for note taking. We'll also see a few strategies that we are adopting in our own wing. And we'll also look at some benefits. We'll start off with the activity. There's a small Padlet which has been shared. I'll present my screen now. I hope you can see the Padlet link on the chat box. So there's a text which has been taken from grade 9 textbook of economics. So I'm going to present the Padlet. In that we have the text. I hope it is visible to everyone. So I request you all to read the text. I will add the text in the chat box as well so that it's easy for everyone. I hope you can see it. So it talks about a small, it's a small text from the economics textbook. You can go through it, and I request you all to take it down in the form of notes in a piece of paper or a notebook, and add the picture of your work in the Padlet shared. Let's take just 1 or 2 minutes in this. Waiting for responses. You can also switch on your camera and present if you'd like. Lift up the piece of paper. Right, thank you. Shraddha ma'am, you have shared a few points. May I request others also to share? Half a minute more. Right, very true. Vrinda ma'am, Japan is focusing on its human capital. Yes, Nisha ma'am.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is, though it is a bit far away from me. Bushra ma'am, can you see it? You can bring it closer to your camera.
Japan focused on human capital and human resources is what is in the chat box. Technology by Sharayu ma'am. Here we have Japan as human resource, developed countries invested. Okay, countries like Japan, despite lacking natural resources, became rich in investing in human capital, particularly education and health, is what is on that Padlet.
Right, thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing. Let's move on. So we have seen different ways of categorizing and putting down information. Let's move on with our PPT.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Not yet.
I've already presented it.
Yes, carry on, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So here we have this note taking. The image depicts of information which is written by the students, rather drawn by the students. The topic was personality types. So based on the character sketch and the characteristics that each personality possesses, students have drawn the image. So here the mental load comes down and the students are able to remember the characteristics of personality, or maybe any information that they have to keep in mind with the help of images. So that makes their book also look good, and it reduces stress and anxiety, because whenever we tell the students that you have to study, stress and anxiety is something which is so closely associated with it. So our endeavor is to reduce that at its maximum. Ma'am?
Right. The next two slides will be showcasing mind maps or sharing information through bubbles or character sketch. This is a way by which we can present the core idea and the related topics or subtopics, and they form relations with each other. And this plotting in a sequential manner aids learning. The next slide also presents the same idea. Can move to the next slide. Yeah, this can be used in other subjects as well, not just in English or other language subjects, but many other subjects as well. Let's move on. The case study. Right, so here we can see a case study which has been presented, given to the students, and they have highlighted the keywords. And this has been done through active learning, where pair work was done. And this helps in building bonds. And also the keywords were used to recreate the content in such a manner that the children are able to understand and put it down on paper in a way which is comprehensible.
All of us are expecting our students to be focused, but it is really difficult to grab our students' attention, because most of them are used to watch the reels and everything. So basically our intention as teachers is to train their brain so that they are able to focus for some duration of time in which the students need to be involved in the teaching learning process. So note taking takes them a great way to improve upon their focus and concentration. Followed by this, we have this image. So within a minute, I want someone to just comment what comes to your mind when you look at this image from the perspective of note taking and its benefits rather. Natasha ma'am, you've raised your hand. Natasha ma'am.
Sorry ma'am, that was by mistake.
Still ma'am, you can just look at the image and tell us what comes to your mind first. Yeah, tree structure.
Strong roots.
Okay, strong roots. Thank you, ma'am.
Has raised it.
Yes.
Prajakta ma'am has raised it.
Okay. Prajakta ma'am, can you speak?
Yes, yes, Natasha, I agree with you. Strong roots and many fruits because of the strong roots. Yeah.
Yeah. So our intention itself is, to have the strong roots in the children of studies and, information that they're learning in the school days. So, in the later years, it can benefit them at its best.
Right. Thank you. We move on. So here we can see a pictorial depiction being used along with the content. So it has been observed that a study has been done in psychology where it is noted that when a single method is used for storing information, it is generally students tend to forget it. But when we use at least two mediums for encoding, that aids and assists in learning as well as retention. So here we can see pictorial as well as written mode being used. On the left side, the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka is presented. On the right is the timeline of nationalism in Europe.
On the other side also we have information wherein on the left hand side the timeline is presented, the dates are written and the events are written in the chronological order. So there are chances when the information is written in the form of paragraph, it is easy to, it's difficult to keep it in mind, but when it is in a different format, it breaks the monotony and help the students to understand. Whereas on the right hand side, we can see it's a huge information. So the basic question was, what is the historical background of psychological disorders? So here I mean, the students were working individually, wherein they had to read the piece of information and try and put it in the form of symbols or images, as you can see. So here we see that the students have drawn these images, and ultimately they have to learn the images. They're happy with it. Their book looks good, which will enable them to revisit the book again and again. And the question of learning such a huge answer is reduced over here. And at the end, we have also seen positive results, wherein in exam they are able to recollect the information and plot it well. So that is of utmost important to us.
Right. Next, we see some color coding being used. So these are the steps of elections which are followed. And this has been done using sticky notes. So children are happy to see the colors in their notebooks, and they like to revisit their notebooks because of the eye-catchy colors being used. So this is another way of creatively color coding as well as note-taking.
So as we know that the students have a lot of creativity in them, but then study and the relation of study with the books or the white paper really looks really boring. So when Sucheta ma'am presented the use of sticky notes, we have another thing over here, which are the flashcards. So these are simple A4 size papers which are cut into pieces, which has the front and the back side. So the students are guided to write if it is math, so they write the formula on one side and the explanation, or maybe the another example on the other side. The same can be applied for social sciences, and even languages, wherein the information that has to be learned is handy. It looks good to them, easy to carry. So that will again build interest in them to study further. As ma'am already spoke, or she introduced, Pinas ma'am spoke about the Cornell method. So here on the single page, there are 5 different theories which the students had to study. So here on left hand side, we can see they've written the name of the theorists. Right hand side, they've written the summary, the explanation of the theory, and down in the summary section, you see they have formed an acronym. If we see carefully, they've written the word cake, and E is square. So this will help them recollect the information what has been learned, to reproduce it in the exam, and which ultimately will boost their confidence ki nahi mujhe aata hai. So that feeling, when it comes, they are able to perform better in exams as well.
The next is a tabular method. Many of us are already using. So this is a method by which we can categorize information, and especially when we want to have or talk about, let's say in this case, it is different levels of intellectual disability being presented. In the same way, if we want to present differentiation or compare and contrast something, so a tabular format makes it much more interesting rather than writing in a para form.
So here we have few videos of students.
Jai Hind everyone, I am Ananya Pankaj. Note taking has helped me with my preparation for graded assignments as well as exams when I am short of time.
Jai Hind everyone, my name is Sia Mazli, and note taking has helped me revise everything that is taught in class. So once I just go home, I just recall and go through my notes, and then I'm already done with the topic. Thank you.
Jai Hind, my name is Dhriti and note taking has helped me to stay active in class and know what is happening in the class and having a link.
So as we come to the end of the session, we will close the loop. So there are so many techniques that were introduced today. So we want quick responses in the chat box, in which which of the note-taking techniques do you think you would like to try with your students? You can quickly put in the chat box. Mind map, Swarna ma'am says. Smita ma'am, note taking with small images. Different color codes, yes. Pictorial, mind mapping. Flashcards, the white ones, yes, ma'am. Decoding, pictorial representation, tabular representation, tabular form, different colors. Listen, pause, retrieve, write, yes. Timeline, sticky notes, mind map, pictorial representation, sticky notes in the notebook. Yeah, free form, give them the liberty. Color codes, yeah, this is something very important that we must not, tell them that you must practice only by this particular method, because there are different types of learners. So whatever suits them at their best is what we have to promote them. Mind maps, sticky notes, yeah, mind maps and flowchart. Thank you so much. So we are leaving with a homework to you, and we expect that we receive mails. Apply one of these techniques in your class, which has not been done earlier. I'm pretty sure at least one technique is something that we have learned today. You need to take feedback from the students. Obviously, we need to tell it to the students, take their feedback, and let us know about the utility, the helpfulness of the new technique that has been used by you. So our email IDs are pasted there. And ma'am.
Right. Thank you, everyone. I hope the session was, I'm sure it was very interesting with all our previous presenters. Thank you for your patient listening and participation. Have a good evening. Any questions or queries, most welcome to ask.
Thank you so much, Suchita ma'am. Thank you so much, Bushra ma'am. I think throughout the time, it's 1 hour 15 minutes now, but not for a single minute we were able to move our eyes from the screen. All four presentations were amazing and enriching for all of us. Thank you so much for your insights, sharing student reflection. That helps us actually to understand their experience and make it better. So this is a skill which we all are working hard to develop in students. So let's continue that in this endeavor, and as per their age groups and their class, let's try the right kind of note-taking strategies for the children. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. And a big round of applause for DPS Hinjewadi. That was the debut episode for them. So big round of applause for their presentation and for everybody.
Thank you so much, Aarti ma'am. Thank you so much, team Varanasi, Nashik, Nagpur, and Hinjewadi. It was an amazing session, and as you said, Aarti ma'am, really 1 hour 15 minutes. We didn't know where it went. It was really an insightful session for everyone, and a lot of takeaways for us. Teachers are sharing a feedback form in the chat box. Please fill it, and we'll call for today's session. Thank you so much for joining in.
Ma'am, you're putting the link in this chat box, or you'll share it on the group?
No, in the chat box, ma'am. Please check in the chat box.
Okay,
I've
ma'am.
shared the
Okay.
link.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.